Tomas, we're back in business. You know,
oh yeah, we're back.
There it is. We're back in business. And you happy, WWE? There I am. I'm playing your stupid game with your taglines and not calling it WrestleMania Backlash like the pay-per-view next month.
My brother, we had a WrestleMania this weekend, and it wasn't a bullshit Performance Center Mania that they tried to play off as an actual WrestleMania. It was an actual WrestleMania with fans and a set and special entrances, all the bells and whistles. And on top of that, it was a fantastic 2 nights of wrestling. Yes, 2 nights of wrestling. And you know what? I'm going to kind of rip that Band-Aid off right now and say, I liked that it was 2 nights.
Yeah.
I didn't feel gassed out. There was no matches that suffered from a tired crowd. And, you know, it was a damn near perfect weekend of wrestling. It was a damn near perfect week of wrestling.
Yes, yeah, with Stand and Deliver and now this, it's just I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that this 2-night Mania is a permanent thing from now on, because we're not going to Dallas next year because, you know, it's Texas. You know, we don't like Texas, so no offense, but like LA will for sure be there, and it's gonna happen, guys. You know, I'm hoping it's gonna be 2 nights because it's gonna be a lot more manageable than recent years that what we've been getting. But
this is coming from a guy that literally 2 nights ago was against the 2-night thing. I said it was dumb. I said it was just WWE trying to milk us for more stuff. They were going to put in pointless matches. I think it's fair to say that a good amount of us were looking at this card saying, really, WWE? You kind of pulled this card out of your ass in the span of 3 weeks. But no, this card.
Yeah. It did. I think night 1 was for sure the superior show compared to night 2. I think it was just more consistent in like the goodness. But yeah, we'll get into all of that. There's 14 matches. We're going to go through all of them. If you guys are new to this brand new little game that we play every single month, we're here talking wrestling with, of course, Tomas, my co-host, and Chris, who unfortunately could not make it tonight. We miss him. Hopefully we're going to have him. We will have him back for WrestleMania Backlash and all that good stuff next month. So hit that subscribe button if you're new. If this sounds like subjects you're interested in talking about with us, I also talk cinema, obviously. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out also if you enjoy this discussion, and let us know what you thought of everything down in the comments. WrestleMania always sparks some big discussion. But this was...
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room now. Everything was there. We got the kickoff show. We got Vince McMahon coming out with all of the wrestlers. Basically, just let everyone know, thank you for being patient with us. You know, obviously, these were circumstances out of our control, but you guys kept us going. And, you know, welcome back to WrestleMania. We got Bebe Rexha singing America the Beautiful, which is great. We got the great video package, which was a continuation from last year, which honestly, last year's video package was very good, but I kept looking at it as, it's not, you know what? In my mind, I'm like, I'm going to see this video package, and then boom, a stadium. We knew we weren't going to get that. So it was just, I had, you know, a salty mindset last year. But looking at this video package and the fact that it was a continuation, complete with the Johnny Depp impressionist doing the voiceover saying like, okay, let's try this again. You know, everything was there. And you know, at this time I was looking at it, it's like, I'm going to see that stadium this time. And we do see that stadium this time.
We sure did see that stadium.
And we, boom, got a rain delay.
Historic. You know, do you think Vince is regretting his match with God back in 2006 now? I think he is.
Back.
50-50 booking at its finest. But, you know, they kill some time with some unscripted interviews, which was a big plus because it allowed the superstars to improvise, which is something that they rarely get to do. But our first match, Tomas...
we got some very good promos, and it was very building up. And, you know, it was very symbolic because when this started and this happened, it was kind of like, I know everyone was like freaking out and saying like, oh my God, what's going to happen at WrestleMania? It's like, guys, we waited a year, a month, and a day for this. Wait 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And we opened up with the WWE Championship on the line, Bobby Lashley retaining against Drew McIntyre, who insisted on being the first wrestler to enter with fans. And when he came out, you saw the look on his face. And he, you know, that's going to be an ongoing theme with this WrestleMania. The wrestlers and seeing their energy in their entrances, seeing that we got fans back. And it wasn't like a, you know, one thing I want to point out right now is that looking at this crowd, you know, 90% of them were on the floor. And it was a very cool visual to see, like, you know, this is what we're used to. And, you know, there were some fans scattered about in the upper deck, but that was mostly cardboard cutouts. But it was just very, very weird. You know, I told you this feels so weird, but you responded, but it feels so right. And I couldn't agree anymore. You know, to quote little Becky Two Shoes from Urinetown, why does it feel so right?
It felt so good. Drew McIntyre makes his grand entrance, and the man's almost in tears because the man's back must be broken from carrying the WWE on his back for pretty much the better part of last year. And he's taking on Bobby Lashley, challenging for the WWE title, and for the first time ever, the WWE Championship opens WrestleMania, which is nuts to me. 37 years, but.
Which was apparently a last-minute decision, I think, of Friday. They decided a lot of the fans were clamoring for Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks to go on last with the SmackDown Women's Championship. You know, WWE, this has kind of been a trending thing for the past couple of weeks, and the fact that they waited till a night before the show to make this change was a little, you know, a lot of people were saying 11th hour. It doesn't bother me. And you know what, considering, I feel like it was a mutual agreement. You know, McIntyre wanted to be the first one out. We needed a big match to kick off this show. And as we'll talk about later in the show, Belair and Banks needed that main event spot.
Yeah, of course. We'll get to that. But Tomas, you think I'm going to trash this match, don't you? You think I'm really just going to sit here and be like, oh, this result sucked. This result sucked. But you know what? This was a hoss fight and a half. I freaking loves this match. It was so good. If you guys are, you know, if you guys saw their match at Backlash last year for the same title, pretty much some of the same offense you get here, except, you know, Drew's being a little bit more edgy. He's pulling out some new moves along the way. He's pulling out the Camaro lock a good amount of times.
Kind of nice. I want to say kind of an homage, like a sign of respect to the man he beat for the WWE Championship last year at WrestleMania in Brock Lesnar. I was watching that match kind of going like, he took that page out of Brock Lesnar's book. And, you know, yeah, this was very, there was a lot of belly to bellies. There was a lot of suplexes. There was a lot of hard hitting stuff from McIntyre and Lashley that I really appreciated. You know, a lot of people were complaining, saying like, oh, the rain delay kind of like took the wind out of the sails, no pun intended, of the fans. And they weren't into this match as much as they should be. I disagree. This was a very good match to open the show. And you weren't going to be seeing these guys doing shooting star presses and, you know, corkscrew topes and stuff like that. Again, like you said, Zach, this was a hoss fight. These are 2 6-foot, 270-pound men beating the holy shit out of each other. And I loved it.
That's exactly what they did. If their match at Backlash last year was any indicator of how good this match was going to be, I don't know which match I like more. I have to go back and watch them both again. But like Drew, like I was referring to, Drew was being a lot more edgy. He was telling Bobby to bring it, bitch, which I loved. Future Shock DDT hat trick is what I wrote down. 3 in a row, and freaking Bobby Lashley, like a monster that he is, kicks out of it. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
A couple of reasons. Yeah, number one, we never seen that before. I've never seen McIntyre hit that Future Shock 3 times in a row. Number two, that used to be McIntyre's finishing move, and it's kind of been demoted to a signature move. But I like that he went with that because, you know, to go back to the Lesnar match, they protected the Claymore. You know,
they did.
And the psychology in this match is that both opponents knew that one finisher was going to finish this off. Lashley needed to avoid the Claymore, and McIntyre, as he showed in this match, was trying to avoid the Hurt Lock, and only the Hurt Lock, because I don't think Lashley attempted the spear once. in this match.
No, he did not. And like, spoiler alert to that point, Drew McIntyre did not hit the Claymore once in this match. He tried a couple of times, but was unsuccessful because the first time he does the 3-2-1, and it was so awesome to hear the fans chant that again. I love doing that. You know, it's a great gimmick. MVP pulls Lashley out of the ring. I forgot to mention MVP was, of course, accompanying Lashley to ringside. And then Drew hits a tope con hero. Drew McIntyre, yes, 265 pounds of him. Every like I feel like he did that on the indie circuit, but like he never pulled that out in the WWE until now.
Another running theme of this show and of this weekend is that, again, a lot of they were saving, you know, the big spots for this match. It's like McIntyre knew, hey, I can fly over the top rope anytime I want, but I'm gonna save that shit for WrestleMania. You know, and we'll talk about later matches. Again, just stuff that we've never seen before. And you know, we've been watching wrestling for almost 20 years. Next year will be the 20th anniversary for both of us. And you think you've seen it all.
Don't remind me.
You've seen it all. And you haven't.
No. You really haven't. I thought I'd seen it all. And like I heard the holy shit chants again, which obviously you're not going to hear in the Thunderdome. I have missed live fans so much. But gets to the finish. Lashley's in the Carmella lock for a little bit, and he gets to the ropes, and then Drew gets up and goes for the Claymore, and you know where this is going. MVP just hops up on the apron. Lashley ducks under, and Drew is in the hurt lock for a good amount, and to my surprise, he passes out to the hurt lock, or the full Lashley, whatever you want to call it.
You're surprised. And I was cheering for Lashley, and I feel like I in the minority. You know, I've been reading everyone's comments saying like, oh no, McIntyre should have won and this wasn't the right call. Even though I was cheering for Lashley, and I'm one of the only people that I feel that is happy that Lashley won, I was shocked. You know, it was kind of like, this is what I want, but I know it's not gonna happen. And like, you know, to McIntyre's detriment, they did protect him. You know, they protected the Claymore, and they didn't beat him 100% clean. You know,
no.
You could put a tiny, itty bitty little asterisk there saying like, oh, well, MVP was paying dividends again, and he distracted McIntyre long enough so Lashley could put in the hurt lock. And McIntyre was in that hurt lock for a good time. And he didn't tap out. He passed out.
Nope, he did not tap out. The results will say Lashley won by submission via the full Lashley or the full Nelson or the hurt Nelson, whatever you want to call it. But this, I love this match. I mean, regardless of this finish, as a Drew McIntyre mark myself, I really wanted to see Drew have that moment that he should have gotten in the stadium last year, but he was robbed of. But I mean, Lashley, some people will argue that Lashley just won the championship, and I'm like, you just hot potato the title from McIntyre to The Miz to Lashley, and now Lashley's probably going to hold it to SummerSlam is what I'm thinking. But, you know, I dug this match. It was a great Haas fight. I'm comfortable giving it 4, you know, regardless of this finish and how much it surprised me, you know.
I very much enjoyed this match too. I gave it a 3.5.
Okay.
A very solid opener, and just for, you know, again, I don't remember the Backlash match. I tried to block out most of the PC shows out of my mind, and especially as we hopefully, fingers crossed, gear towards getting back on the road, I'm kind of gonna just, you know, get in my brain and go, okay, we're gonna forget that time, and we're never gonna go back to that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was very solid, and I'll give it a 3.5. A good, like I said, a good 3.5.
Oh, for sure.
It was good, and I'm very happy that Lashley won. And like I said after the match, you know, I'm happy, but that was a very bold move by WWE.
It really was.
No spoiler alert. When we get to the very end of this show, it was even a bolder move. Because WWE made some bold moves this year at WrestleMania.
Yeah, they did. They did. You know, I wasn't like upset. I mean, I was like at first, but in hindsight, I'm not really that mad about it anymore. What will really, really piss me off is if they just delayed Drew's 3rd title win to Money in the Bank, where there's no crowd, you know, or whatever the next pay-per-view is. But because, you know, you just wasted your crowd pop. So
at this point, yeah, if the plan, obviously the plan was not to put the title on McIntyre. Obviously, the plan now needs to be let Lashley run with it and let Lashley be a monster. And, there has been rumors of Lashley, Brock Lesnar. Obviously, at this point, Lesnar's not coming back until, they're back on the road and they're back to consistently having a crowd. So if, in my, I think I'm predicting that's going to be SummerSlam. That's a big match to save for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Let Money in the Bank main event. That's not a Backlash main event. That's not an Extreme Rules main event. That's a SummerSlam main event right there.
Yeah. I'm in that same boat with you, my friend. Give Lashley what he wants. The man's 45 years old. Like, he doesn't look like he's 45, but he's getting towards the end of his career, guys. Give him what he wants. Give him Brock Lesnar with the title on the line. So
McIntyre is going to be a multiple WWE champion by this is, when it's all said and done. This is a good time right now. Let kind of McIntyre kind of rebuild himself, kind of him to kind of take a back seat. Tomorrow's the night after Mania, and Thunderdome or not, we're gonna get some surprises. So we may know what McIntyre, what's gonna keep him busy until he gets the championship back. Like you said, Lashley's 45 years old. This could be the only time for Lashley to be WWE champion before he decides to hang it up.
Yep. So I'm in agreement with you now. In hindsight, let Lashley run with it for a little bit, but. Yeah, great opener, but now you get to the tag team turmoil to determine who faces the women's tag team champions on night 2, otherwise known as Piss Break, because screw Peacock. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, no, I actually have some nice things to say about this match, but this was probably, I would probably say this is the lowest point of the entire weekend. We had the Riot Squad, Billie Kay and Carmella, random tag team alert, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, which we will get to. We know what we're going to talk about with them.
Poor Mandy Rose, man.
Nina and Natalia. And Naomi and Lana. I don't know why it took me so long to remember all the teams that were in this.
Don't you just hold on a second. Sorry to cut you off, but don't you just love how 80% of the tag teams in this match are random teams that were just thrown together? Like, the only established team is the Riot Squad. Like,
that's actually 2/3 of the Riot Squad, because unfortunately the other third got let go, but she's having fun being mommy, so I'm sure she is not, she's not over that.
Yeah, so the match does start off with Naomi and Lana against Billie Kay and Carmella. Not really too much going on. I mean, Billie Kay rolled up Naomi with a nice little Oklahoma roll, and, that was that. I was kind of surprised that Naomi and Lana were eliminated first, because Lana was having that whole thing with Nia Jax about the table and my hole, but, they just decided to throw that by the wayside for something else.
I feel like they've been low-key building Naomi, Lana versus Baszler and Jax since, like, February, and you thought it was going to be at WrestleMania, but no, they were Death Star match.
And they just never did it. They never did it. Like,
yeah, strange. Next up we have Riot Squad.
Yeah, with Liv Morgan and her Harley Quinn cosplay, which I popped for. Harley Quinn cosplay.
That was great.
The Riot Squad were the MVPs of this match, easily. I really wanted them to win, because they were the only established team of the bunch, as we've mentioned already.
I wanted Riot to win when I realized we weren't going to get our Iconics reunion, which I'm sorry, WWE, you missed the missed opportunity. I mean, I'm not losing sleep over that, but it was just a missed opportunity. It was sitting, it fell right into your lap. You could have done something with it, but obviously I guess they value Carmella more than Peyton Royce, which is a shame, but
yeah. But yeah, thankfully Carmella's eliminated, and Billie Kay is the one that's pinned by Ruby Riott, playing into her history with the Riot Squad. Then we get Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, Team Soccer Mom, as Chris likes to call them, even though they don't look anything like soccer moms anymore. But it was, so just to throw this out there, like we said, this was on weather delay, 30 minutes at the start of WrestleMania. First time in history that's ever happened. So the ramp is pretty slippery. Poor Mandy Rose is walking to the ring, and she completely falls on her ass. You know, I I don't know. I feel like everybody else was laughing, but like I felt bad. It wasn't like a like
but she got up, she shook it off, and I'm pretty sure she's laughing about it.
oh,
Like,
she's a pro. She's a pro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, if
real quick, this is a little unrelated, but someone made a joke online saying that during the weather delay, Titus O'Neil should have totally slip and slided down the ramp. That would have been hilarious. I would have paid extra to see Titus O'Neil just take off his blazer and just dive belly first on the ramp and slide all the way until he got to the end of the ramp. I would have paid good money to see that.
Yes, you want to talk about missed opportunities. There's another one right there. But there was a very, there's some good tag team wrestling. I feel like this was the best sequence of the Turmoil itself because, I just think all four of these ladies worked pretty well together, I think. But there was a very creative elimination of Team Soccer Mom. I can't get that team out of my head.
I want to compliment Team Soccer Mom because despite them being a pretty much thrown together tag team, Mandy Rose used to team with Sonya Deville and Dana Brooke, kind of isn't doing anything. They actually work together very well. So they as a team. So I enjoy watching them. And they were matching everything to a T. Their ring gear, they got matching extensions to the point where I couldn't tell these two ladies apart. Literally matching extensions with matching tips and everything.
I can tell them apart. Mandy Rose is a better worker, but anyway. Sorry. Sorry. But what's Dana done in the last 5 years? Like I'm sorry, but
in the last 5 years, what is either of them done?
I don't know. Mandy Rose.
Okay, you know what? I will agree with you. Actually, I have seen some better stuff from Mandy than I have done with Dana. I feel like Dana, they did something good with her in NXT, and then with by the time she was in the main roster, she was just there. When it was the opposite for Mandy, I looked at Mandy and I immediately thought, you're Eva Marie 2.0. But when she got up to the main roster and I saw her throwing those mean knee strikes, I was like, you know what? You're not a bad worker. And here we are now.
No,
and, I agree with you there 100%.
Yeah, there was a creative elimination of Team Soccer Mom, and Greg Hamilton thought that the Riot Squad was eliminated, and that was weird. That was not the only botch on night one, but I wanted the crowd to chant "You fucked up" at Greg Hamilton, but we didn't get it. But the last entrance are I almost said Naomi and Tamina. That's Team Bad. Natalya and Tamina.
I've been doing that all weekend. Whenever I'm trying to think of this tag team show, I'll go like Lana and Naomi, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Naomi and Tamina. No, Natalya and Tamina. I guess it's just the nah part that's throwing me off. yeah.
But I mean, this ending sequence isn't really anything too special. I think Tamina hit she hit a superfly splash, I think, on Ruby.
Natalya was first they hit the heart attack, Natalya and Tamina, and then Natalya was going to go into the sharpshooter, and then and I actually really liked this because it's kind of like she went, you know what, Tamina has never gotten a WrestleMania moment. This poor girl, unfortunately, has gone through so much in the past few years. Let's give her a moment. And she tags Tamina in, and Tamina does the Superfly Splash, surprisingly to a very good pop. And we'll get into that when we get into night two. How Tamina surprisingly became an MVP of the women's division. And Natalya and Tamina win the match. To my surprise, I went right away. I saw that, I was like, I kind of just went good for them. Why not?
Yeah.
It was a match.
It existed. Star and a half. I mean, it wasn't like I always think tag team turmoils are kind of a mess, but A for effort on all of those. I'm hoping Mandy Rose is okay.
Yeah, star and 3/4 for me. It was there, and honestly, it was nice. All these ladies get a main card spot as opposed to a kickoff match. As stupid as it was to demote the Andre Battle Royal to SmackDown, it was nice to see all the matches. And that's another thing I will give to the 2-night thing. All these matches got proper time. Nobody went out there and had a a 4-minute squat. Sorry guys, you got to go out there. You only got 4 minutes. Sorry. Nobody got that.
Yeah. Better yet,
these matches, I feel like they were at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But this next match is delightful. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, or as Seth Rollins calls him, Cesaro.
You know what? I'm convinced that was like an on-the-fly thing.
Oh,
there is no way. Considering that it was one of those promos, I'm pretty sure that just came out of Rollins' mouth during his unscripted promo, and it was fantastic. I love Seth Rollins. I love everything about him. He is. I don't know why, but this weekend, that Rollins that I've missed over the past few months, he's back, and I don't know what it is about him. He just has this certain swagger about him that every time I see him wrestle on pay-per-view, it's just like, man, genius. And I'm not talking about the match itself. I'm just talking about, the suits that he's wearing and the promos that he cuts, and he always says something that's memorable.
Seth dripping Rollins there on a t-shirt that Chris pitched.
Yeah. Comes out to a brand new theme song, and he kind of just stands on the rampway, and the fireworks are going up, and he is just soaking it in with the biggest shit-eating grin on his face, and I just loved every second of it.
I loved it, and I also loved the Thunderdome Easter egg that they threw in for Rollins' entrance, because they put up the Firefly Inferno match sticks around him, and he walks right down them because, his theme song says burn it down, so you got to put fire somewhere. But this match was awesome. Cesaro, someone please strap the rocket to Cesaro right now while the iron's hot. Like,
talk about seeing things I've never seen before. This match was full of it.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Cesaro, there's 4 different counters to the Cesaro swing, because that was one of the big angles heading into this. Seth Rollins is insulted that Cesaro dared swing him as many times as he did. And 22 times, and Cesaro would break his own record in this match, 23 swings on Seth. But these two just went together so well, and it's very well documented that they're close friends in real life, so I'm sure they were really looking forward to putting this thing together. And
there was 2 matches on the show that were just like, Ring of Honor has made it to WrestleMania, and this was one of them. Mm-hmm. One of the spots that I marked out for first was Seth Rollins's corkscrew frog splash. That was absolutely amazing. He just did like, oh my God, that was a beauty. That move that I talked about at Fastlane he brought up, where he goes for the curb stomp and he fakes out Cesaro, because instead of going for the stomp, he leaps over Cesaro's head, hooks his leg onto Cesaro's leg, and then hits him with the kick of his own. That was absolutely beautiful. And then I think it was right before that spot, my favorite part of the match, where Rollins just, holds his arms out and goes, I am a God, and I just marked out for that so hard.
Yeah. Where are all the Seth Rollins haters from 2 years ago? Where are you? I mean, you have no reason to hate this guy now. Seth Rollins is awesome, but this match also had a lot of really excellent near falls. Cesaro did hit the neutralizer pretty early on, which is a move I have not seen in some time, and does get the 2 counts of great transitions into a pedigree by Seth Rollins. Again, a move he hasn't hit in a long time. Yes, Seth Rollins goes for a curb stomp and right into a European uppercut, which was just a thing of beauty. That reversal out of the stomp almost rivals the RKO out of nowhere that we saw at WrestleMania. Like, almost.
And then, Cesaro swing, and then after that, Cesaro goes for something very old school. You see what I did there? He puts Rollins in the torture rack, and he starts spinning and spinning and spinning. And then he puts his hands on his hips, and he's spinning and spinning. He puts his arms back up, spinning. And it's like, that is absolutely amazing. Cesaro, again, this is shit I've never seen before.
Cesaro's a freaking freak of nature, man. Again, like, while the iron's hot, Vince, please strap the rocket to this guy. He also, side note, calls that move the UFO.
And you know what? Speaking of Vince McMahon, Vince, you have to call in 2014 to say that the fans do not connect with Cesaro, bullshit.
Listen to the fans this time. Like they popped loud for this. They popped loud for this lad. Cesaro hits the neutralizer one more time after swinging Seth around 23 times, as we alluded to, and he pins Seth Rollins clean in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania. I couldn't be happier for Cesaro. Beautiful last match. 4.5 stars, dude. Like
4.5 stars for me, and I will say this now, but I won't confirm it until the end of the review. This might be my match of the weekend. Might.
Maybe. I think
kind of butting heads with another match that we'll talk about later on night 2.
It's butting heads with that match that I'm thinking of on night 2, and also the unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. This might be in my top 3 the whole weekend. These two tore the house down. They only got 10 minutes though. I think they
not feel like 10 minutes.
It was 10 minutes, like if not a little bit longer than that. But they went in there and they threw everything they possibly could at each other for 10 minutes. But I just really wish like they got.
Anyone who was complaining.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was anyone who said that the crowd was dead for the past couple matches. They can't say it past this third match because the crowd was on fire for this match.
Yes, they loved it, and so did we. Please watch this match, if nothing else, on night 1. This might have been the match of the night. You want to talk about fun matches. You want to keep it going. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, of course, the New Day defending the Raw Tag Team titles against the phenomenal AJ Styles and Omos. The debuting Omos, 7'3" monster.
This weekend was a weekend full of marked outs. I marked out when Big E introduced New Day to the ring. Mm-hmm. That was fantastic. And it didn't break the immersion because, Big E's wrestling on night 2.
No. Oh, you're good.
I marked up for that. Xavier Woods' hairstyle every year at WrestleMania is always amazing. So I popped for that. And the part that hit me right in the feels is that I always feel like during these big pay-per-views, we're paying tribute to something. And when AJ Styles and Omos made their entrance, Omos threw up the X for DMX, and that got me right in the feel. So thank you, Omos, for doing that. Somebody said that Styles slipped on the stage, but I didn't see it.
Nope, I didn't see it either. One other thing I'd like to note about these entrances, though, Xavier Woods popped for his own pyro, and I'm like, oh, you gotta love Austin Creed, but.
I am going to rewatch both nights tomorrow, so I'm going to pay extra attention to Styles' entrance and see if he actually fell.
Yeah, also pay extra attention to the New Day dancing to AJ Styles' bop of an entrance theme that he's had since he debuted in 2016. Like, you got to dance to that AJ Styles theme every time. It's awesome. But AJ's shoulder was also taped up. I don't know if he was dealing with any nagging injuries, but I think this match was worked very, very cleverly because they didn't overexpose Omos because he's still kind of green. He's still relatively new. But AJ Styles took most of the match. The New Day were basically working as the heels.
So I'm glad that you brought that up because when we both heard this match get announced, we were mad. We were upset. We didn't like it. We thought it was random. And we were like, really? Styles is going to be in a tag team title match? But then overnight, it kind of hit me. This match is more for Omos. And Omos is in there with AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. 3 men that not only are they going to sell and make this man look good, if anything goes wrong, Omos, Styles, Kingston and Woods can work the majority of this match. And that's exactly what they did. And the story that they were telling with this match, I really liked because Woods and Kingston realized that if Omos gets tagged in, it's game over for them. They know they're tag team titles if Omos gets tagged in. It's like clicking the win button for Styles. Yep. So they were effectively, in the woods of Xavier Woods, we have effectively cut off the ring.
I was just about to say that. Xavier Woods has AJ in a headlock, and he's like, "We have successfully cut the ring in half." Like,
that was what this match was revolving around. If anything, this was just, this whole match was built to seeing Omos get tagged in. And then Omos did get tagged in.
And the crowd popped for him.
And the look on Woods and Kingston's face was just basically said, we're fucked.
Yeah, and I have a question. I have a question for the class, everybody watching, and for Tomas. Where did this swagger from Omos come from?
I don't know. We came into the ring. He was a monster.
He had the biggest grin on his face. He was walking around the ring like he was like owner of the joint, and he freaking mauls the New Day, like treats them like they're nothing. He's like doing the evil laugh, and AJ comes out of nowhere and hits a phenomenal forearm off his shoulders. That was a great spot.
I like how Kingston and Woods were in the ring at the same time, kind of like the referee was just like, you guys are going to need all the help you can get. I'm not even going to be upset that you guys are both in the ring, because both of them together could not take down Omos. And once they realized that, it's like, there's no way the New Day can win this match because Omos isn't going to tag out. Hell no, he's not going to tag out. And yeah, you were saying about the phenomenal forearm. That was great.
Loved it. Only the best wrestler in the world could have pulled that off. So, yeah, he hits the phenomenal forearm. Omos lifts up Kofi Kingston, who, by the way, is a former WWE champion. The WWE doesn't like remembering that. Omos lifts Kofi Kingston as high as he can, and keep in mind, this guy's 7'3", and he hits a humongous chokeslam, and Kofi sells it like he's been put into a coma. Like, you know, Omos, like, and then AJ looks at him and he says, 1 foot. Omos pins Kofi Kingston with 1 foot. He is done. They are your new Raw Tag Team Champions. Grand Slam Styles is a thing. 3.25 stars. You're gonna think I'm crazy for that, but this was a very fun match.
I gave it 3 stars. And looking at this now, I know a complaint that me and you have had for the better part of like over 6 months is that WWE Tag Division is kind of dead. Omos and Styles is good right now because there's not a damn team on the roster that can beat Styles and Omos.
Not right now, at least.
They're going to have to catch, Omos slipping on a banana peel to beat him. And I'm going to make a very bold statement. Omos is the great Khali if he could work.
Yeah. And he really, really did impress me in this. He proved a lot of doubters wrong, I think. And shout out to Real James on YouTube, by the way. What's up if you're watching? He actually did say on Twitter he was watching WrestleMania, and he's like, I recognize Omos. Apparently he went to college with the guy. So, yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. Small world. That's awesome. But
the guy's not hard to miss, I'm pretty sure.
There you go. Yeah, he sees a gigantor in the ring, and he's like, I feel like I've seen him before.
So I was very satisfied with this match. I think Styles and Kingston and Woods did a very good job, making Omos monster.
Yes. And
I'm looking very forward to seeing what they're doing with Styles and Omos, because I want them to absolutely run roughshod over the tag division. And I think it's going to take a brand new tag team bursting on the scene to dethrone these guys. Because right now, there's no, I know I'm heading a little too much in the future, but I'm talking like a returning Viking Raiders.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking the Viking Raiders. Like, I think they could put on a killer match with those guys too. So
until Ivar is healthy, I say, you let Omos just run roughshod all over Monday Night Raw.
Yes, 100%. Yes, I'm all for that. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a cage match up next. Strap in, guys, because I got a lot to say. First thing, this build absolutely sucks. The build to this match is, I think, among the worst in WrestleMania history. Tomas, I have a question. Why are Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon feuding? Tell me.
I was just going to say, from the awful build to the fact that this is all started because Strowman was mad that he wasn't in the Elimination Chamber match, to Shane, I guess, inadvertently calling Strowman stupid, to probably the latest promo work I've ever seen out of Shane McMahon. And this is the guy who a couple of days ago, I rewatched his match with AJ Styles. And just, a little disappointed that Shane was not putting the work into this feud. And Bill was basically carried by Strowman, who really didn't have much to work with in the beginning,
No. And
Strowman was kind of served a shit sandwich, and he unfortunately was forced to eat that shit sandwich and smile.
Yeah, no, Tomas is probably going to defend Braun Strowman and his promo work in this build until the cows come home. He's fine. He can cut a decent promo. It's passable. No, it's not like he's Samoa Joe or Kevin Owens level.
And I'm not saying. I'm just saying, I saw his promo on Raw Talk, and I just thought Strowman himself was cutting a good promo. And, a lot of people compare this to Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss from a couple years ago when it was all about, yes, you know what? If you are and maybe, unfortunately, you're getting picked on by a bully at school, and you see, a guy like Braun Strowman, you see that, big, strong people get bullied, and Strowman is, encouraging these kids that, yeah, you need to stand up to your bully, no matter how big or small they are. I like the message there, but again, it's very lazy writing, very lazy promo work by Shane McMahon.
It's a good message, but the execution was just severely botched. And to add on to the lazy Shane promo work, the whole reason this feud is happening is basically because Shane was calling Braun Strowman stupid, and you were alluding to Braun complaining about not being in that Elimination Chamber match where only former WWE champions could enter that match. Shane
and Adam Pearce bring that point up to Strowman, and Strowman says, well, I think that's stupid. And Shane responds with, well, maybe I think you're stupid. And that's how this whole thing started.
Even though Braun himself, for those of you keeping score at home, is not, in fact, a former WWE champion. Next thing, this stipulation. I don't mind the cage match, but if you guys remember last month at Fastlane, it was supposed to be Braun versus Shane, but instead we got a stupid Raw squash match between Braun and Elias because Shane was basically trying to run away from Braun. That's pretty much how Shane's been getting heat this whole time. So Braun's like, I have a solution. I know how I can fix this problem of Shane running away. I'm going to put him in a match with me where one of the objects to win is to flee. That is a genius solution.
I think what bothers me more is the fact that Strowman also wanted a cage match to keep out Elias and Riker. And I'm just like, are Elias and Riker really that big of an issue for you? You know what I mean?
But they just interfered anyway. Braun is making his entrance. Sorry to cut you off. Braun comes out. Shane is trying to hold the cage door shut. And then Elias and Jackson Riker just maul him from behind. I'm like, so your stipulation has already proved a moot point. Keeping the cronies out.
Obviously, this would have benefited more from being a false count anywhere match. Where, yeah, sure. Riker and Elias still would have been able to, for one, Riker and Elias still would be able to interfere, but honestly, Strowman could fight them off while Shane is resting, somewhere. And yeah, sure, Shane would still be able to run, but Strowman could chase him all around Raymond James Stadium and pin him wherever he wanted. Yes. And that's a true, now you can't hide or run anywhere because I can defeat you. We could run all the way to Disney World and I can still pin you on top of top of Epcot if I wanted to.
Or like Busch Gardens because they're in Tampa. But that was going to be my next thing. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people watching this that are like, well, Zack, Tomas, what would you have done that was better? False count anywhere. A strap match would have done wonders because Shane cannot get away from Braun that way. Or if you want the cage, just put a roof on top. Just put a roof on. Shane can still do a sick bump, but he can't get away. That's the whole point.
Of me thinking Strowman cut a good promo, I was actually, willing to give this a chance until they made it a steel cage match. And when they made it a steel cage, I was like, okay,
It limited them so much. And another thing
I will say about the match, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse, but again, it's still really stupid that this is a cage match because my man Mike Rome, he gets on the mic and he's like, this is a cage match. You can win by pinfall, submission, or by escaping the cage. Again, that's the whole point of the cage itself, to keep Shane from escaping.
Yeah, but at the same time, when we get to that spot, we will say it will prove that Shane trying to run away bit him in the ass.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like near the beginning of the match, Braun Strowman says to Shane, "There's nowhere to run." But then what does Shane do? He fucking runs multiple times. he ran. Which way did he go? As fast as he possibly could. And it does, like,
Shane's very shoddy promo work. He didn't say that once, and I was like, "Come on, missed opportunity."
Yeah, like, if you wanted to really bring back old school preppy bully Shane, you got to say which way did he go, you know? But
bring out a storybook that said Braun in the Beanstalk, Shane in the Beanstalk Part 2. Come on, that was a perfect opportunity to bring back Shane in the Beanstalk Part 2.
Yep, remember
the revival, the remastered edition.
Yes, but yeah, this match was exactly what it needed to be. Braun just beat the piss out of Shane McMahon for a little bit. He does peel the cage apart. He does peel the cage apart as Shane is trying to climb out, and he pulls him back in, and Shane does take the flip bump off the top of the cage. And
I say that right now, that was nasty, because here's the thing. Shane's done a lot of stupid shit in his career. He's jumped off Hell in a Cell. He's jumped off scaffolding.
You don't say.
Titantron. But here's the thing. When he jumped off Hell in a Cell, it was onto a crash pad on the announce table. When he jumped off a scaffolding, it was onto a crash pad. When he, got thrown off that large thing a couple years ago into the Miz, there was a crash pad. I'm so tongue-tied. There ain't no crash pad in the ring. He took a 15-foot drop onto the canvas, and that must have hurt like a motherfucker. And you know what? If I'm Shane, or if I'm ever in that position, I would much rather take the spot where I'm onto the crash pad. I would never take that spot that Shane took. And if Chris was here, he'd probably agree.
Onto that, yeah, we miss you, Chris. Onto that hard part of the ring too. Like,
so you know what? Ugh. I think this is probably the sickest bump Shane's ever taken. Like,
really.
Yes, I know. Jumping off Hell in a Cell is scary. Jumping off a Titantron is scary. He had a crash pad there. He didn't have a crash pad for this. That just looked painful.
Doesn't matter what height you're falling from. It still hurts either way. But, I mean, definitely good effort. Braun basically pins him after a running power slam. Cool bump. 2.5 stars. Exactly what it needed to be.
2 3/4 for the same exact reasons. And, again, it gets that little extra quarter for Shane taking that disgusting bump. Absolutely.
Yeah, Shane McMahon is just putting his life on the line for us. I mean, the man turns beet red every time he wrestles, and like, do you want to? Oh man, do you want to be able to hug your child? Man, So I'm just gonna.
Doing shit like this, man.
I know. Yeah, please stop, Shane. But I'm just gonna mention this brief little talk segment real quick before I'll let you introduce this next match. But Michael Cole is running down the card for night 2, and you have Billie coming in, who is absent from the card, having a lot of talk segments with like legends and trashing them and like trying to too sweet the NWO. They're just not having it. Billie comes out and she trashes Michael Cole. Fans chant for Becky Lynch. No Becky Lynch. And that's going to be a recurring theme of this pod, I think, for me. Oh, Tomas, here we are. What do we got next?
Next up, we have The Miz and John Morrison taking on Damian Priest and Grammy Award-winning rapper Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny this all started at the Royal Rumble when Bad Bunny performed, and later on, Bad Bunny got involved in the Royal Rumble match, and he ended up taking a top rope spot. And the minute he did that, we all knew Bad Bunny was WrestleMania. I am a hip hop fan, and I actually just started listening to Bad Bunny last year. And shout out to my good friend Hugo, who got me into Bad Bunny, brought up that he's a very big wrestling fan. And if there's one thing I know about rappers and professional wrestling, they are hardcore, passionate fans. You look at Snoop Dogg, You look at Wale, who we'll be talking about later on in this podcast.
Yep.
Something about people in the rap industry, they love professional wrestling. And I know Bad Bunny has been wanting to get involved in the WWE for a while. So, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that this match was going to happen. And so before we get to the actual match, Miz and Morrison make an entrance with bunnies. And it was very, very and very, very creepy.
Oh my God. There were so many of Adam Rose's bunnies out there with them.
Like Adam Rose Bunny must have gotten married and had kids because
we all know bunny litters are huge. Like if anybody's ever seen Zootopia, you will know. Like
so the bunnies are popping to the ring and they're all holding their masks like on their head. These must be some shitty costumes because ears are falling off and they're scared that their masks are falling off. And then Miz and Morrison come out and they're singing "Hey Hey Hop Hop" and it was fucking hilarious.
They actually entered to that song too. Like they actually entered to "Hey Hey Hop Hop."
Miz and Morrison were more of the comedic heel team in this match, and they weren't taking themselves so seriously. We all know Miz can turn it up when he wants to, and he can cut the serious promo when he wants to, and he did during this feud. But I kind of like how this was just more of a we're going to have fun and we're going to make fun of this guy because his name is Bad Bunny. Like, I really appreciated that. Welcome back to WrestleMania, by the way, John Morrison. We've missed you.
You're not going to count the
Damian Priest.
Yes, Damian Priest. Priest.
Welcome to WrestleMania, Punishment Martinez. After I saw you in a hardcore match against Jimmy Havoc, I never thought I'd see you at WrestleMania, so that was pretty cool to see. He had a pretty cool entrance, and I think this was our first special entrance of the evening, and Bad Bunny got the honors. There was a shot of him driving down the freeway on top of this giant Mack truck, and then arriving to the stadium, and I will admit, that was pretty badass. That was a pretty badass entrance by Bad Bunny.
It was like, I wrote down, look at all that pyro that he's getting. Like there was a ton of it. Good for him. He was a lifelong fan just like us, and he got to perform at WrestleMania and get a grand entrance to boot. One last thing about the entrances before we get into the actual match and we start praising this guy. How many future NXT champions do you think were in that entourage of Adam Rose's bunnies?
Brian said the same thing during his night one review.
Sound off down in the comments.
How many NXT champions? Yeah. How many NXT champions, North American champions, NXT women's champions were in those bunny costumes? Because for people who don't know, Braun Strowman started off as one of Adam Rose's his entourage.
His rosebuds.
The rosebuds. I'm sorry. CM Punk was one of John Cena's gangsters at WrestleMania 22. I believe MJF was in one of those WrestleMania entrances. I can't remember which one. But someone posted a photo saying that MJF was an extra.
I'm looking this up. I'll let you talk about this match while I look this up.
Sure. And so the other thing about Bad Bunny is one thing I appreciate, because I know a lot of wrestling fans frown upon the celebrity matches. They don't like when celebrities come in. They didn't like when Floyd Mayweather came in and made Big Show look like a chump. They don't like, I didn't like when Snooki came into WrestleMania 27 and basically, pinned the women's champions. But one thing I noticed about Bad Bunny, and this is going to lead to a joke that Zach's going to appreciate.
Oh, no.
Bad Bunny was on Raw every single week, except maybe one, leading up to WrestleMania. So this guy was showing up and doing the work and taking bumps. And I think Bad Bunny has worked more dates this year than Brock Lesnar has in the past two.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know what? That is spot on. I don't even think that's a joke. I actually think that's legitimate. Like, Bad Bunny, like, props to him. This guy worked his ass off.
Apparently, Bad Bunny every single day was at the PC training with wrestlers. Like, he wanted to be ready for this match. And
yes, it really showed.
Stephen Amell from SummerSlam 2015. King Barrett and Cody Rhodes. For, I want to say, like 85% of this match, taking the heat.
He was. Damian Priest was the hot tag guy, which really like surprised me because usually in celebrity matches like this, it's usually like, you know, in Bad Bunny's case, it would be him waiting on the apron, but no, he was taking the heat. He was out wrestling The Miz. I can't believe I'm saying that. He hit him with an arm drag. He pinned him with a La Magistral. Never thought I would see that. John Morrison does a spin-a-rooney because Booker T, of course, was commentating, guest commentator at ringside because Bad Bunny has a whole song about him. And he's hitting a tornado DDT. Like, this guy's awesome.
I forgot the point I was going to make, but no, yeah, Bad Bunny was putting in work in this match, and it made me so happy. I was going to bring up, this was originally going to be a one-on-one match. This was straight up going to be Bunny and Miz. But just like the New Day Styles Omos match, you know, the match before. So if things start getting shoddy, Priest and Miz, two of the safest workers in the
yes
match before, I'd want to wrestle Miz.
Yeah.
Know for a fact I would not hurt him and he would not hurt me. And I think that's fine. You know, again, props to Miz and Morrison. You know, again, I just can't get over how good Bad Bunny did in this match.
I can't get over it either, man. Chris and I were texting a little bit, and he wanted me to let all of you know on the podcast that he thinks Bad Bunny should get a full-time performer's contract. Sadly, you know, as much as I'd like to see him wrestle more matches, I think this might be a one-and-done deal because it was announced on night 2. He's got a world tour coming up.
Hey, I do not think this is the last time we will ever see Bad Bunny in the ring. Him again. We won't see him on Monday Night Raw every week. We won't see him, like, you know, working house shows and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure after tonight, Vince McMahon just said, hey, Bad Bunny, the door is always open. You want to come back and show up on Monday Night Raw or work a match or two? You know, let's make it
happen. We'll find a way to fit you on the show. But Miz and Morrison, props to them. They were bumping like crazy for this guy. Miz's eyes were glazed over on the tornado DDT, and I'm like, Miz really does not get enough credit for how good of a seller he is. I know I've given him shit for like being the guy that held the WWE Championship for 8 days on the road to WrestleMania this year, but like, he really does not get enough props. Credit where it's due.
Like Miz said back in 2016, you know, he's a veteran. And anyone who thinks that The Miz is not a good wrestler, they're wrong. He's been here for, you know, over 15 years now, absolutely killing it in the business. And remember, Miz used to be that celebrity worker. So he probably related to Bad Bunny. And, you know, Miz bumped for Bunny and Bunny bumped for them.
Yes. Yeah, Bunny absolutely bumps for them. And then Damian Priest gets the hot tag. He hits the South of Heaven for a nice near fall. But Bad Bunny does get in, and this is where this match gets really crazy. There are stereo Falcon arrows from the baby faces. That's right. Bad Bunny hits a Falcon arrow along with Damian Priest, and they both pin their opponents for a nice near fall. Like, my goodness. Like, I was never have expected that.
Yeah, this is something that another celebrity, they would probably just be sitting on the apron waiting to get the tag, would do a botchy splash, and that would be it. No, Priest is in there doing spots that you would see out of like the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros and, you know, crazy tag teams like that. Like, hell, do we need to see Priest and Bunny run with the tag team titles? Is that something that we're going to see?
Is that the team that's going to take the titles off of AJ and Omos? Like,
parallels to that match, but honestly, I like this match a lot more. As good as well as Styles and Omos and New Day did. I draw a lot of parallels to both of those matches because they were kind of, they could have been structured the same, but I like this match a lot more just because, again, this is stuff that you see out of like the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros and, you know, and those crazy tactics that we're seeing like in AEW right now, and I can't get over how well Bad Bunny did in this match.
He really did a great job. He does do a Royal Rumble callback. He does do the splash on both guys a lot better than he did at the Rumble. That's for sure. He's learned. Miz hits Priest with a skull-crushing finale. Bad Bunny runs in and breaks it up. And then we get to what I think may have been the pop of the whole weekend. He goes outside with John Morrison, and he actually hits him with a Canadian Destroyer. Like, I couldn't believe it.
That was amazing, and apparently Bunny gave that name, that move a name, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was really cool. But that was a thing of beauty, and you know what? He didn't botch it.
He didn't.
We see a lot of wrestlers do that move, and that the head doesn't even connect with the mat. No, that made full contact. Morrison sold that beautifully.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Morrison leaped up into the air. Bunny went with him, and it was a beautiful move. But then Bunny becomes a legal man with the Miz. They hit a Doomsday device, and he pins the Miz right clean in the middle of the ring. Very fun match. I know I trashed on Bad Bunny a lot, like by saying I was one of the people that didn't know who he was, like going into the Royal Rumble with his like appearance and everything. But goddamn, that guy proved me wrong. He really did. Wow. 3.5 stars. I can't believe I'm saying that. 3.5 stars.
Very fun, and I'm looking very forward to rewatching it again.
Yeah. Credit also for the good booking because just saying credit for the good booking because the right man was pinned also.
And my friend, that was the semi-main event. We are on to the main event now.
Yep, we are. Yep, main event of night one, truly historic.
Defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Bianca Belair. And thank you, Michael Cole, for bringing up the fact for the first time ever, 2 black women are facing off for a championship in the main event of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Let it sink in. It is. When
it comes, and we're still unfortunately going through it with racial injustice and and with Black Lives Matter. Just seeing this, was emotional. It got me right.
It hit us right in the feels, and also little nod also to the referee in this match, an Asian American. The representation is absolutely there. It's an inspiring time for sure. I mean, we're living in a time with our first female vice president as well, so there you go. But Sasha Banks was playing heel as heel gets in this match. This crowd really wanted Bianca Belair to win.
Well, before the match started, this was a very rare moment of both wrestlers breaking kayfabe, and it was very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like who cares? Let them soak it in.
It was touching.
Bianca Belair was in tears. Yeah, it was very touching. It was very, needed. Bianca Belair was in tears, like right when the match started. I think Banks saw that, and the little scowl from being a heel, it broke into a smile. And it was kind of like she kind of looked at Bianca and was just like, soak it in, girl. This is your moment. Looking at the crowd, everyone was cheering. Everyone's, chanting for her. And, this was a true moment of happiness.
Yes. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. I think it might be a little bit too soon. I did enjoy this match more than the triple threat at Mania 35. But it was a borderline very good. I really commend this match for playing to both of their strengths. Sasha was really trying to out-wrestle Bianca, but Bianca was just, strong as strong can be. There was a point where she gets Sasha, she catches her, going for a suicide dive, and she gets her up in a press slam, and she literally walks all the way around, like, to the ring steps, up the apron, and she throws Sasha back in. Awesome.
Strong. I knew she was strong, but I didn't know she was that strong because in the moments after that, she puts Banks up and the ropes and holds her up again. Goes to the other side of the ropes, slingshots her up again, walks the other side, is doing squats with her. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Scott Steiner and Lashley, eat your heart out because Bianca Belair shit all over them tonight.
That was awesome vertical suplex. Sasha was really trying to get the bank statement in there. There was just great selling, all around from both women here.
Also focused a lot of her offense on Belair's hair, which if, back in NXT, that was a main staple for, Belair to use as a weapon. But no, it was kind of like the tables were turned on her, and Banks was just finding all these very creative ways to use, Belair's own hair against her, wrapping it around the steel post, wrapping it around the ropes, even using her hair in the bank statement.
Yeah.
I worked out for that. And I go, is Bianca Belair going to tap out to her own hair? Have we ever seen that before? I don't think so.
Is Bianca going to tap out to her own hair? Like, just imagine. That would... But Bianca does hit her patented 450 splash. No other wrestler can do the 450 splash, only Bianca Belair. Wink, wink. That does get a nice near fall. To your point, she does lock in the bank statement using Bianca's braid. And then you get to the point where I'm about to eat my words, my friend. Sasha runs at Bianca, and she hits her with the hair, and the sound of the whip just reverberates all around the stadium, and the crowd pops like crazy for it.
Oh, that was disgusting.
It was...
We all saw it after the match. There was literally... It looked like Banks got sliced with a knife. There was... on her ribs. That was like, God damn, is Bianca Belair's hair made out of like razor blades or something? You know what? We talked about that, you could not pay me to take one of Walter's chops. You could not pay me to get whipped by Bianca Belair's hair.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're using a real whip, though, if anybody's ever seen I haven't seen the Indiana Jones movies in a while, but like whenever he cracks his whip on a bad guy, like you can imagine like all the welts all over them. Of course it's going to look like that. So, and like I said, I'm about to eat my words because back in NXT, I was really not behind the hair whip. I was like, isn't that a disqualification? Isn't she using a weapon here? But it's a part of her body, like perfectly legal. And I freaking loved it.
Because Banks had been using her hair as a weapon the entire match. And it was kind of like Belair going, bitch, give me my hair back. That's not for you to use. Wapa! And then the kiss of death, and Bianca Belair is your brand new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yes,
and
she is.
Bianca's father got so excited that he jumped up and almost fell over the barricade, and the security guard had to catch him and help him back to his seat. That was so a moment.
It really was.
Years. I saw a video that someone shot of Sasha Banks where she was selling, leaning up against the barricade, but she couldn't help but smile. And that was very touching.
Well-deserved for Bianca Belair. Royal Rumble winner from number 3, if you remember. She lasted like 56 minutes in the ring, and now here she is as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I want her to hold this belt for a while, but, it's... We'll see what happens again. She just won it. This was, for what it was a great match. Touching moment at the end. I gave it 3 3/4 out of 5. Sasha's best match in a while. I don't think it was better than her match at Hell in a Cell where she won the title, but good stuff here.
4 stars. A lot of people have been comparing this to Flair, Lynch, and Rousey from a couple years ago.
You can't
Yes,
compare.
that match in its own right. That match in its own right was historic and it was symbolic. It was the first main event. But it was, even people went as far as saying, that was for Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was the reason why that match was what it was, which is not true. But this was 2 wrestlers, 2 black women.
Yep.
They're not doing it for the fame. They're not doing it for the fortune. They're professional wrestlers, and they earned it. And I was so happy for Belair. After the show, Montez Ford came out and celebrated with her.
I was just about to ask you if you saw that video, and like someone actually joked. I saw on Twitter there was like a caption underneath the video, and they said Montez almost Vinced himself on the way to the ring. the gimmick they're referring to was Vince McMahon at Royal Rumble 2005 after the botched, John Cena, Batista eliminating each other. Vince McMahon tearing both of his quads. Like, I couldn't help but laugh at that, but it was such a sweet moment.
Yeah, because I know me and you and a lot of fans have complained that Street Profits didn't get to wrestle this year at WrestleMania, but you know what? I'm pretty sure Montez Ford wouldn't trade this for anything in the world. He got to watch his wife win the main event of WrestleMania, and I'm just so happy and proud for her.
They are
really a lot of good moments here at WrestleMania. Don't fuck them up, because the hardest thing after WrestleMania is where do we go from here? And you have Bianca Belair as the SmackDown Women's Champion. You have AJ Styles and Omos as the Raw Tag Team Champions. And Bad Bunny did very well in his match. From here on out,
Hey, speaking of fucking it up, you want to talk about this first match on night 2? Because we started off hot.
Real quick before we do.
What's up?
Again, I don't want to rate night 1, but this was great. This was just this made me very excited for night 2. And it was so weird today. Just I was getting ready for the show, and I was like, I watched WrestleMania last night, and now I'm gonna watch it again.
Yep. This should be a yearly thing. 2 thumbs up from me for night 1, though. Oh, here we go. The Fiend versus Randy Orton in the opener of night 2. Clean new Randy Orton gear. He's coming out in all white, and even though he's the despicable heel, he can't contain his excitement that the fans are in the building. Like he couldn't help it.
A constant theme throughout this was just seeing how the wrestlers were playing off of the crowd, and then we got what this was like entrance of the weekend.
Yes,
the Fiend return. First of all, Crispy Fiend has been restored. He walked through that portal, and he has been restored to his normal self. I did not see that coming.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I love the Fiend so much. I love Bray Wyatt. Alexa Bliss walks out first. She looks very scary indeed. And then she goes to this Jack in the Box thing that they set up outside the ring for his entrance. Or as Michael Cole says, a box-like structure. It is literally just a box, Michael Cole. Just call it like it is. Alexa Bliss cranks the Jack in the Box, and the Fiend pops up, and he's going insane. OG Fiend leaps off of this big old toy on the outside. Oh, and one more thing. Couple more things, actually. First of all, fuck this red light. I don't like that they brought it back. It just looks silly.
I was a little annoyed by it at first, but then I realized, I'm not saying I liked it. I just said I understood why they did it. People, I can bring up this point, but there was a good amount of people there, but also remember the stadium was not at 100% capacity. So no. WWE did not want to light the area of the stadium that did not have, the big portion of the audience. So I think they realized, you know what, we're not going to see that side of the stadium anyway. We might as well do the stupid light for the effect. So I'm not saying I liked it. I'm just saying I kind of understood why they did it.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I definitely get it. My second complaint is that this is a regular-ass wrestling match after Randy Orton burnt the Fiend to a fucking crisp at TLC. Like, how did...
At the same time, considering what we got in this match, I think we would be even more disappointed if it wasn't, if it was.
We'll get to that, but there was a lot of goodness towards this first part of the match. The Fiend, like I said, leaps off of this Jack in the Box, and he does, like, you zoom in on his face, and all you hear out of him is, yeah, and I'm like...
I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting Fiend to low-key kind of...
Yeah, well, he did
himself for like a second.
He had to, because this is the first match he's wrestled since his best friend passed away. He's got to pay tribute to him. So, like, that was awesome. But it does become like your typical Fiend squash match, and it's freaking awesome. He's no-selling everything. Randy Orton does like a back suplex on the announce table. The Fiend pops right back up, and it goes into the mandible claw, and I'm loving the Fiend so much. And then Orton goes for the RKO, and he puts him in the mandible claw again, and he looked like he's about to win with the Sister Abigail, but then the lights go out, and Alexa Bliss is sitting on top of the thing, and the Fiend is distracted by the goo that's coming out of her crown of thorns, and I'm like, what is this?
When I first saw that, I kind of just thought it was like a, Alexa Bliss, okay, do it, finish him off, finish Randy Orton off. But then it kind of hit me. I'm like, wait, Fiend is just staring at her.
This is a distraction because Randy Orton turns him around and hits him with a fucking RKO and he pins him clean.
What? Okay. So when I first saw this, okay, obviously I was confused. And, I kind of let everything kind of digest for a second. So let me get the rating out of the way right now. It gets 2 stars, but a star and a half is for the presentation. It's for the entry.
Yes.
It's for, again, this was my Mania entrance of the weekend, the Fiend. That was pretty fucking cool. It was all, again, the aesthetic and the presentation, and that was good. That was very good.
Loved it.
I don't like that this match ended before it really even got started. I realized that, yes, I understand everyone wanted a gimmick match. I don't get what they would have done. But Hell in a Cell. It feels like a feud. That's a bit much.
It feels like
for this feud. WrestleMania. If that's a bit much,
bro, don't put Braun and Shane in a cage. Put them in a false count anywhere, and then you drop the cage for Fiend and Orton. Like, easy.
Yeah, I understand that. I just, I don't know. I feel like this was going to be the closest thing to a cinematic match we would have gotten this year. Again, it's all the circumstances were weird, and I guess I'm more confused by this match more than anything else. I didn't hate it. I'm just confused.
I'm really confused by this outcome. First of all, if this was in fact Alexa Bliss turning on the Fiend, like, you don't turn her heel on him because the Fiend basically made Alexa Bliss his slave. Like, you turn her babyface and you have her feud with the Fiend if you want to do that, but like, they're not going to wrestle. They're not going to wrestle, obviously. Like,
I am very curious to see what's going to happen next. And I will give the match credit for at least taking me by surprise. But I will say, ever since Randy Orton lit the Fiend on fire, he's been losing left and right. So the fact that he was able to sort of get his momentum back with this win, cool.
Bro,
looked like a beast this entire year.
I'm sorry, the Fiend needed this win. Randy Orton is Randy Orton. He, like, the name speaks for itself, the resume speaks for itself. He did not need this win. The Fiend did.
The Fiend / Bray Wyatt has never beaten Randy Orton in a one-on-one match.
All the more reason to, after burning him to a crisp.
Because I was live texting with another friend while I was live texting you during the show. And he tells me, I can't wait to see the maggots projected onto the ring. And I go, hell yeah, let's throw it back to 2017. And in the back of my mind, I go, there's no way this match can be worse than 2017. And again, I did not hate this match. I'm just confused.
Yeah, the work in the match was fine. They worked hard. It was a match, it wasn't really anything too special. The Fiend was no selling all over the place, and then he was just distracted by stupid black goo on Alexa Bliss, and I'm like, classic. Go ahead.
2 stars, the star and a half for the presentation and the entrance. Because I am going to stand by that this was my favorite entrance of the weekend.
Oh, same.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I just didn't want them to split up the Fiend and Alexa this early. If that's in fact what they did here, and like, it's classic WWE, man. They were really getting me behind the Fiend, and then they just freaking deflated all that excitement I was feeling there. Like,
yeah, you know what? We're probably gonna see the Firefly Funhouse return. So hopefully Bray Wyatt will speak for the first time in like 4 or 5 months. I guess we'll have to see. Again, I'm not defending the decisions they made tonight. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, if that makes sense.
I can't wrap my head around it. The Fiend needed to win, and he didn't. All right.
By the booking decision than I am the actual result. I don't know. Let's move on from this match because I'm thinking about it too much, and the more I think about it, I'm gonna need to take some Tylenol after this review because I'm.
Yep.
Like I always say, don't think about it too much.
You're
try not to think about it.
You're using logic, but women's tag team title match, big yawn. Everyone in the stadium leaves for a piss break, but the match got really good towards the end. I'm not gonna lie. Tamina, I
told my friend, I said, "Wow, for the second night in a row, Tamina and Natalya unfortunately have to follow a appointed crowd." And I, because of that, I was kind of half paying attention to this match. But like, I'll let you continue. The match surprisingly got better.
It did. The crowd was cheering for Natalya and Tamina because neither one of them is named Nia Jax. Shayna Baszler was extremely stiff tonight. There was a point where Natalya took one right in the fucking jaw, and I was like, good Lord. Like, I realized she worked in MMA for a little bit, but like, damn.
Turning it up again lately. And I think Baszler needs to show Vince that, hey, I'm a fucking badass. I was a badass in NXT. Please start.
Yes, absolutely. There was a point where Baszler stomps down on Natalya's ankle, and I was like, that the ankle is not supposed to bend that way. And I've seen Kurt Angle put on the ankle lock a lot, and it was like bending, like, pretend like, if I don't know if any of you guys are like into like theater or dance or not, but like, you know how they tell you to like point your toes? That's basically what she was forcing Natty to do, was point her toes. Like, good Lord.
For a second.
Like, rupture an Achilles tendon that way. But yeah, you get some heat on Natalya, and she eventually builds up to the Tamina hot tag, and I wrote down, oof, Tamina botched the hot tag. I don't know how she did it, but like, I feel like she pulled her hand away at some point, and then she put it back out. I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, so Tamina fucks up this hot tag, and like, how do you do that? That's like textbook.
And then surprisingly, she got over in this match. And she actually, for the first time in like 8 or 9 years that I've been watching her wrestle, she got good.
Yeah.
It was very surreal. They were cheering for her and chanting for her. And for a couple of minutes, I wanted her to win.
That was weird. So strange. I think partially also because she was across the ring from Nia Jax, who a lot of people don't really like. And Nia Jax can be as edgy as she wants. She can say you ain't shit on air and almost get cut out all the time. Like, she can say that all she wants, but like, I don't know, man.
Is Tamina from Florida? Like, is she a hometown hero or something?
I think so.
Because there's gotta be a reason why she was so ridiculously over in this match.
I mean, that's got to be it. Tamina almost wins with a weak ass scoop slam, which I'm sure they were trying to replicate Hogan and Andre, but like they're never gonna play that on any video package ever. But this is the point where I wrote down Tamina chants. Where did this come from? Like,
definitely weird.
There was a sharpshooter on on Nia, who's not the legal woman at this point. And then Shayna Baszler sneaks in and locks in the Kirifuda clutch, and Natty passes out. And they play Nia Jax's music for some reason, even though Shayna was the one that got the pin, or the submission rather. But
I give this match 2.5 stars because it was actually a lot better than I expected it to be.
2.25.
You're gonna call me crazy, but I feel like they should have put the titles on Tamina and Natalya.
Yeah, because then that just means the tag team turmoil was just a giant waste of time. Like,
and all that, and the fact that the challengers were actually very over in this match. Like, I don't understand why WWE can't capitalize on that.
Beats me, man. But
they probably didn't expect Tamina to actually get over.
I mean, at least the match was better than I was anticipating, and good thing that Shayna was the one who got the pinfall too. So,
yeah.
Playing into the match the previous night between Cesaro and Seth Rollins, Ring of Honor has come to WrestleMania. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, even though Sami Zayn has never stepped foot in Ring of Honor before. Sami Zayn and El Generico are obviously two different people, guys. Come on. Let's be real here.
This was, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record by the end of this. This was, again, a good example of Owens and Zayn were playing off of the crowd. And they were just so happy that the fans were back.
The fans were singing Sammy's theme song, and he's so happy that they're there singing his song. Kevin Owens he can't contain his excitement. He's like kicking the bottom rope and just feeding off of their energy. Kevin Owens was over. Like,
he was.
Oh my God, he got a huge pop when he came out.
And then we got this big, festering, disgusting, deformed waste of human trash sitting ringside for this match. The biggest fucking piece of garbage I have ever had the displeasure of watching on YouTube in my life. Logan Paul.
God.
WWE, are you not aware of anything Logan Paul has said or done literally the past 3 years? Why would you want this man anywhere near your product? Oh, because the kids like him? The kids don't know any better.
Yeah. So, loud KO chants. He hits a pop-up powerbomb immediately, and I was very scared that Kevin was going to pin him right there, but thankfully Sammy rolled to the outside, and the match went on. He almost hit the apron pop-up powerbomb, and I really was like curious to see if he was actually going to do it, but Sammy ends up countering with a brainbuster on the apron, which could not have been comfortable. Ouch. That's how you get spinal stenosis, like Edge had for a little bit. But there was Michael Cole was botching all over commentary both nights. He called a Michinoku driver the Blue Thunder Bomb, and I'm like, seriously? And thankfully Corey Graves was there to correct him and say, "Come on, Michael, that's the Michinoku driver." Like, Kevin Owens hits a frog splash. There was a point where like it looks like he was gonna hit the package pile driver. I really wanted him to.
He's been teasing that move for like 6 or 7 years now.
Good
and I'm just
Lord.
like, I know he can't do it, but just throw him a bone once.
God, how big of a pop is he gonna get once he finally is allowed to hit that move?
What does Owens got to do? Give Vince $100 in a shoulder massage to let him do that package pile driver.
Good Lord. But these two are countering all over the place. Great sequences. Stunner was countered into a Blue Thunder Bomb. There it is. You know, it's not the prettiest Blue Thunder Bomb. You know, it's not like Sammy's lifting up AJ Styles for one. Like, has anyone ever seen AJ Styles take a Blue Thunder Bomb before? That's a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah.
But
Owens goes for the cannonball, and then Zayn gets up and immediately follows him back to the other turnbuckle and hits him with a haluva kick. And JBL, of all people, referenced Battleground 2016.
Yes.
That blew my fucking mind.
It was awesome because, you know, what he's referring to is the gimmick where he hits the haluva kick and Sammy is holding Kevin Owens like in a hug position, and he's like, I think I've got room for a second one, don't I? He puts him up in the corner. He goes for it, and he misses it. Kevin Owens hits him with a stunner and pins him clean in the middle of the ring there. Beautiful.
I gave
beautiful
the match.
Callback.
I give the match 3.25 stars only because I wanted to see these guys go longer, and they could have.
I gave it 4. I thought it was awesome.
I wanted to, and I really enjoyed it, but I wanted more. That was just like a I wasn't full. My appetite was not satisfied by, I
think I might have been a little bit more satisfied than you then, if that's the case, because I thought these two put in a lot of really clever Easter eggs and callbacks to their entire history together.
You know what? If I'm gonna give Cesaro and Rollins 4.5, I'm gonna bump it up a little. 3.5. 3.5 for Owens and Zayn.
Fair enough.
Gotta be fair.
But I do agree. I wish it was even longer than it was. But the aftermath of this match, oh my Lord, Logan Paul gets in the ring and Sammy is trying to talk him, into being like, "Oh, you're my special guest," as Logan Paul was trying to praise Kevin Owens. Logan pushes Sammy to the ground. The crowd boos like crazy because even though Sammy's a heel, Logan Paul raises Kevin Owens' hand in the ring, and this is why I love having fans back. Kevin Owens is looking at the people, and he knows what the people want him to do. He's looking at the wrist that Logan Paul just touched, like, you know, he was just some disgusting vermin, because he is. And, you know, he looks at the people, and Logan Paul is trying to talk him up. Kevin Owens stuns him right there, and the crowd pops like mad. Loved it.
You know what? Okay, two things. In the great words of Excalibur, give the people what they want, and we got what we wanted. And you know what? Logan surprisingly sold that stunner very well.
Give the devil credit where it's due, man.
He looked like his head was about to pop off from that stunner.
Yep. The only thing missing from this aftermath was the "You deserve it" chant after the stunner. Yeah. That was the only thing missing.
And also throughout the entire match, the fans were chanting "Logan sucks," so that made me happy.
Yeah, yeah, but that was great. Oh, speaking of great, do you want to talk about this segment? Because I know how much you were begging for Riddle to have a segment like this.
So I felt like I was transported to a different dimension, because Riddle was backstage interacting with the great Khali of all people. And then when Riddle couldn't understand what Khali was saying, RVD, inductee of the Hall of Fame class of 2021, comes in and starts translating for Riddle. And then RVD, dead ass, pulls out 2 blunt raps. You heard me right. Blunt raps on WWE programming, WWE PG programming, and then hands them both to Khali and Riddle.
Okay, guys, you know, I told you, I got to get the cheap plugs in here for my products. And, you know, Riddle's the perfect one to take it, you know, because that's his character, right?
My mind was absolutely blown.
Oh, my God.
By that.
Me too. Me too.
That was so weird.
I was watching that segment, and I see Riddle ride past the Great Khali, and I'm like, really? You're going to have him do a segment with this guy and not Rob Van Dam? You're just going to have that for the bump? But thankfully, Rob Van Dam does pop up, and I legit jumped out of my seat because I was like, yes. But
yeah.
So Van Dam was still over, though. Before we get to that, like, the crowd pops for that guy. Like, my goodness. I couldn't believe
I popped for him.
I did too, but like I wasn't expecting the crowd to pop as big as they did for him. Like,
yeah,
wow.
Perfect segue into our next match. Sheamus challenges Riddle for the United States Championship, and I am sad to report that we did not get our entrance of people riding scooters.
A bunch of
bro-nuts.
A bunch of bro-nuts on scooters, and Chris is a very sad camper. This was Riddle's Mania debut. He does get that scooter entrance. Sheamus early on does some joint manipulation. I see he's been taking notes from the best technical wrestler in NXT as determined on Stand and Deliver. I wrote what a belly to belly off the top rope by Riddle. He must have launched Sheamus into another freaking realm.
He did, and I feel like Riddle landed kind of rough. Like both of his knees were kind of tucked in to like in between Sheamus's legs, and he took like the full force on his knees.
He did. He really, really did. And that's one thing I really, really liked about this match. It didn't feel like a Haas fight, but I mean, well, it obviously, like, you look at Sheamus and then you look at Riddle next to him, and you're like, this wouldn't be a Haas fight, but they sure handled it like a Haas fight. This was freaking stiff.
You know what? I'm going to quote Sheamus himself. Because they're calling it the PC and the Thunderdome era, Sheamus is the hardest working wrestler of the PC and the Thunderdome era.
Yes.
Hands down. And I went from not caring about Sheamus last year to, you know, truly appreciating how good of a worker he is.
He's really come a long way, for sure. And I think him and Riddle put on a killer match. Riddle also hit Sheamus with a jackhammer, and he actually pinned Sheamus like Goldberg would with a jackhammer, but they obviously like aren't calling it the jackhammer because they don't want to bring attention to the beef that Goldberg and Riddle actually have in real life. But I'm sure Riddle was more than happy to pull that move off, and it was very impressive, you know, for him to get a guy of Sheamus's size up there for the jackhammer, and he actually hit it pretty good. Like,
oh yeah.
You know, say what you want.
This is what I also appreciate about this match. We've seen this match on Raw. Hell, we saw this match like 2 weeks ago on Raw. So I was wondering, what can they do that I haven't seen before? And again, they did stuff that I never seen before. Sheamus hitting, you know, a brogue knee out of nowhere into a very, very, very close fall there. Yes. There was some really, and Brittany was pointing this out, like there has been a lot of near falls, like little, like this close near falls that it was nice to see. And I think that's because they realized the fans were back and they can actually pull that shit off. Riddle
was kicking out at like the 11th hour of those 2 counts. Like, you know, it was that close a lot of the time. Sheamus was on the top rope and he had Riddle up on his shoulders, and it looked like he was going for like an avalanche white noise. And like, you know, it was rainy Tampa. They were, you know, on the ropes, and like it looks like I know what he was going for. It was an avalanche white noise, just judging from Riddle's position. And Sheamus slips. Sheamus slips, and I'm like, that was almost a disaster. But
yeah, but Sheamus realized it wasn't going to work, and he made the very responsible choice of jumping off of the top rope instead of, you know, he sacrificed that spot instead of potentially killing Riddle.
Sheamus has definitely learned, for sure.
Yes.
So
but he does make up for it by, you know, putting Riddle down and then immediately going to the top rope and doing a flying knee, which I don't think I've ever seen Sheamus do before.
Nope. I doubt he's ever pulled that move off in his career. Riddle is going for some submissions, and eventually Riddle goes for a floating bro off the ropes, and he is caught with a gorgeous bro kick in midair, and Sheamus pins him, new U.S. champion there. I think Riddle bleeding from the mouth after the bell should really tell the whole story of this match, because it was stiff as all hell. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it.
3.5 for me as well. After what we got from Owens and Zayn, I did not think Riddle and Sheamus could come close to topping it, but they did a very good job. And this match was good for different reasons than the Owens and Zayn match. So yeah, 3.5 stars as well. Sheamus deserves it. If he wasn't going to be in the main event, if he wasn't going to be WWE champion, the United States champion is the best consolation prize WWE can give him right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. Speaking of mid-card titles, here we are. Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental title. Big E is defending against Apollo Crews in a stipulation that Apollo himself has chosen. And Greg Hamilton explains the rules. It's basically just a street fight with, you know, some gimmick weapons outside. Like, you know, you got some bongos sitting out there on tables, bunch of kendo sticks. You got a big old gong. I was really, really waiting for someone to, like, you know, do a comedy spot with the gong, but they never did. Wale, who he talks a little bit about earlier, plays Big E out to the ring for his entrance. And man, oh man, I'm so happy that Big E got his big Mania entrance there in his hometown of all places.
The energy and the passion I saw from Big E when he came out to the ring was absolutely just breathtaking.
Yes. 150,000%.
And I was a little scared because we knew, to jump a little ahead, that Rhea Ripley was also going to get performed to the ring. And I was scared this was either going to take away or Ripley's entrance was going to overshadow, and it didn't. You know, it was a little tiny bit repetitive, but Wale is also another lifelong wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that he was able to do this for himself and for Big E and to, you know, be at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, and they also stuck in the Hall of Fame honorees like right in between those two matches too. So they had that to, you know, these two go to a kendo stick duel immediately, and they are hitting each other with some of the hardest kendo stick shots I've ever seen. if I'm being honest. Apollo was raking it over him. And good for Apollo Crews also, not to be overlooked, because he, he's deserved a Mania moment for a long time. He's been with this company for, I don't know how long now, like 6 or 7 years.
He's been on the main roster for like 5 years now.
Jesus, man. And this is finally his big moment, There was a big giant apron spear to the floor by Big E, which always scares me every single time he does it. They were taking some sick spots in this match too. Apollo does a Death Valley driver on the apron, and again, couldn't have been comfortable. And then he Uranagis Apollo Crews on the steel stairs on the outside that were set up there. And I was like, Big E's introducing these for a spot.
Yeah, this was a big hoss fight.
This is exactly what should have happened last month, but I'm thankful they at least saved the better match for WrestleMania. But
Crews goes for a frog splash and he misses and he goes right into the table. And this is for me, I was like, I saw the ending come. I'm like, no. I want to see these guys go for longer. This was another match that felt like it could have gone longer. And then Big E hits the big ending, and I was like, oh, the match is over. And then he comes out.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And the announcers were like, oh, who is this giant man? And I'm like, just look on your roster page. Do you not remember Raw Underground? This is Dabba-Kato or Babatunde, depending on what name you want to call it by. This is going to be Apollo Crews' new heater, guys. He comes in and he nails.
Do you hear how much he's groaning right now?
Yes, he nails Big E with the chokeslam. Drags Apollo Crews on top. You couldn't even have Apollo hit his finisher on Big E. You have to drag him.
Is a pretty big dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
Why does he need this?
Why does he need a heater? I don't know.
Heaters are for little guys like Daniel Bryan and Elias.
Or CM Punk, if you want to.
Even AJ Styles is benefiting from a heater right now. Crews, and this just came to my mind right now, Crews does not need a heater.
No.
This, unfortunately, kind of suffers from the same complaints I had from Fastlane, that this finish took the wind out of my sails. And I'm not mad that Big E dropped the title. I just didn't like this finish at all.
Yeah, it was
that mixed in with the time of this match. I can't go higher than a 2.5.
I gave it 2 3/4. I think the match was fun enough as it is. I think the weapons really added a lot to the feud and everything. I mean, racist undertones aside, with the gimmick match and everything, I don't know. I had fun with it. I mean, there were some cool table spots and they were getting their stuff in, but
it was fine until the end. And it just good for Crews, but I don't know. I just kind of, it was a big for me.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see
where it goes. Think if Sheamus was going to win the United States title, I just didn't see Crews winning the Intercontinental title.
No.
It was very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. All the titles, all the undercard titles switched hands. Spoiler alert, but not the big male world titles. Neither one of them. But speaking of titles, here we are. Asuka defending the Raw Women's title against Rhea Ripley. Everybody was speculating whether or not Charlotte Flair was going to be added to this match. No, this is just straight up one-on-one, and I'm very glad.
And I'm happy. And I'm very happy that didn't happen. I didn't want her shoehorned into this Raw Women's title match because she's Charlotte Flair.
Me neither.
It was okay for her to sit this one out, and it benefited.
It really did. Yeah, Rhea Ripley looked like a freaking superstar. To your point, she was played out to the ring by Ash Costello. It was an awesome entrance. I love Rhea's theme song. That is such a huge bop for my workouts.
And now it's stuck in my head.
This is my.
Not only is it stuck in my head, the live version is stuck in my head. And I love Rhea Ripley.
It's
And
a
I was
bop.
very excited for the match.
It's a bop, man. It's a bop unlike Hey Hey Hop Hop. But anyway.
Hey, you're wrong. I want to meet Rhea Ripley when I go to Access. I just realized that right now. I want to meet her.
We'll make it happen.
I want to do that with her.
We do get a 50-50 split chance. Was it just me, or was Rhea kind of working a little bit heelish in the early going?
Not. I'll have to rewatch that. I'll have to rewatch and kind of. I'll get back to you on that.
If that was the idea, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, because Rhea was over with the people. Like,
she was, and by the end of the match, I honestly don't think she was heel.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was pretty quiet for the most part through this match. I mean, the wrestling was pretty good. Asuka does make her come back with a missile drop kick. Asuka took some sick landings in this too. Like,
she did.
My goodness.
I think I missed the spot they did on the outside of the ring.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Asuka and Rhea are on the apron, and this is actually something Asuka did. She actually hits, like, Edge calls it the execution, but in layman's terms, it's just the impaler DDT. She hits Rhea with one of those off of the apron directly to the floor. That was scary.
It was.
Scary. Never do that again, please. That was like, don't break Rhea's neck right now. Back into the ring, Rhea catches an Asuka Shining Wizard and puts her in that really cool reverse Texas Cloverleaf. That's a submission move I love. It just looks really sick. Some nice chain wrestling sequences towards the end, but then, much to Tomas's chagrin, the ending kind of comes out of nowhere with a riptide, and Rhea pins her clean in the middle, and I'm so happy she's the new Raw Women's Champion.
Me too. Like, I'm very, very, very happy. I don't know. I wanted more.
Yeah.
That was my biggest issue with night 2, is that it left me wanting more, and I feel like they could have done more. And they didn't.
I gave the match 3.25. 3.25, all things considered. Match wasn't fantastic like I wanted it to be, but the work was good enough. I definitely popped for the finish. I'm excited to see what Rhea does with this belt. But poor Asuka, man, she really got, like, do you realize, everybody, that this is her first defense of the Raw Women's title since Clash of Champions? On pay-per-view?
At least on pay-per-view, yeah.
Jesus. Like,
I am happy, though, that she had the long title reign that she did.
Yeah, I just wish she was booked a little bit better. I mean, she was going to defend the title at Elimination Chamber against one Lacey Evans, but that didn't happen. I mean, I would have much rather have taken this match over Lacey Evans versus Charlotte Flair. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. And this is when I started noticing we had 3 title changes in a row.
Yeah. Oh, wait. One last thing before we get to the main event. This is something that I definitely want to touch on. We do get our hosts, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan, who by the way, the crowd was booing anytime Hulk Hogan was talking, but they cheered every time Titus opened his mouth. It was just
they should.
Nice little. I loved it. But then Bayley comes out and she is talking trash to them again. Fans start chanting for Becky Lynch because it's been widely speculated, because Becky is in Tampa right now working out. You know, she is 4 months postpartum, and they really want to see Becky Lynch come out and kick Bayley's ass. But Bayley's running them down. They're saying, hey, monkeys, hit my pyro over there. They actually do hit her pyro, and it looks pretty cool. She goes on and on for a little bit. And who comes out but the Bella twins? I groaned so much. Tomas is so upset.
I was expecting someone to come out, but I wasn't expecting the Bellas.
The crowd, yeah, I wasn't expecting the Bellas either. It's obviously nice to see them, but the crowd was loudly booing it. The crowd was
no. It's not nice to see them.
The crowd was loudly booing them because the crowd was loudly booing them because neither one of them are in fact Becky Lynch. and that's who they
No.
wanted to see. Like,
Really? You're gonna give us the fucking Bella twins over
with
that?
fans? With fans, you're going to give us the Bella Twins because Becky Lynch was the one that was expected. Tomas theorized that Becky Lynch is going to be showing up on SmackDown on Friday. I swear.
If she doesn't.
Yeah, but like I'll be even upset if she does it then because like you wasted that spot when there's no fans. Why not just put that moment in there when there actually are fans out there who will give her that huge pop?
Yeah, I agree. But unfortunately, looking back on it, the placement, it was either she takes away a moment from Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair, or here's this big ass return right before a big ass main event. And I mean a big ass main event.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate timing. And if Becky Lynch does come back on SmackDown, it's just something that's like, I'll be happy. I'll be very happy.
I'll be happy, but like you just missed the boat again from doing a big moment like that in front of people. And Becky Lynch's return in the Thunderdome will not be as effective. I guarantee it. But
yeah, but it'll be big. Hopefully. I mean, at this point, is she gonna come back?
You better hope so, man. You better hope so. But you mentioned that big ass main event. Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship in a triple threat match against Daniel Bryan and Edge. Oh, those glorious real yes chants out there. Oh my God.
Those glorious real yes chants. That glorious Edge entrance.
Oh, and the crowd. So I was seeing on Twitter that Edge was the one that got the most cheers out there. If anybody was actually there in the building, let me know down there if that's the case. But that's just what I'm saying.
That glorious Roman Reigns entrance.
Good Lord. Roman Reigns took forever to get down to the ring.
And it didn't bother me.
My goodness.
It was glorious.
I need to time Roman Reigns' entrance. I need to rewatch this match after we're done and just hit that timer button and see how long it takes him to actually get to the ring. Roman, of course, is accompanied by Paul Heyman, and you also have Jey Uso, who won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, accompanying him down to the ring. And he is pretty much like the equalizer, I guess you could say. He was interfering so much in the early going.
I got involved so early. And I was shocked he came to the ring with Reigns. I thought it was going to be one of those cases where he kind of just showed up at the end like he always does. It didn't bother me too much, but this match was fantastic. This match was the definition of storytelling.
You guys want a triple threat match, or do you want a fucking triple threat match, or what? This was a classic WrestleMania main event. This had literally everything. Storytelling, you got psychology. I actually took the time and watched Edge's Chronicle on the network before Night 2 started, and he made this analogy of this empty ring is just like an artist and their canvas, and he just has a knack for putting those images together, and this just feels like a big gigantic art project between these three.
It was all the players did well in this match, between Bryan just being the most absolute amazing wrestler in the world, to Edge playing that passionate "this is my moment," to Roman Reigns just being the fucking head of the table. Nobody was bad in this match.
Not one weak link. Not one
weak link. Props to Jey for taking an execution on the steel steps.
Good Lord, yeah, that looked like it freaking hurt. I mean, there was a lot of things that looked like they hurt in this match. Edge was dribbling Roman Reigns from the barricade to the ring apron, the LED ring apron somehow. They changed it from an LED, normal to LED between the two shows. Weirdly. Looks like it hurt. Daniel Bryan takes a powerbomb through the announce table. That looked like it hurt, certainly. Edge spearing Roman Reigns off of the steel stairs onto the floor. It just looks like a complete wreckage out here.
Reigns and Edge knocked noggins because they both went for a spear. That looked like it hurt.
That was a spot. I was waiting for that. I was waiting.
Roman Reigns did the roar for the first time since he was a babyface. That was very interesting to see.
And the crowd actually did do the roar with him, even though they were booing the shit out of Roman Reigns. And that's another thing. Like, everybody was very concerned how this crowd was going to receive Roman Reigns, this new heel persona, in front of a crowd for the first time. And, you know, they were worried that they were going to cheer Roman Reigns too much, but they didn't. There were lots of Roman sucks chants. Roman was absolutely leaning into it. Like, I acknowledge him as my tribal chief. You know, now I do, you know.
Yep. He has just, you know, this was amazing. And, again, absolutely fantastic. I guess I'll just go to the part that kind of just stuck out to me the most. Well, first, Edge goes for a couple of chairs. And Edge goes to hit Reigns with the chair, and Reigns blocks it. And Edge yanks off part of the leg of the chair. And we were discussing it at my house, like, we don't think that was supposed to happen. But then Edge is able to get Reigns down, and I think it was supposed to happen because he got the chair leg and, you know, lodged it into Reigns' mouth and used it as a crossface.
Yes.
Was cool.
Well, he did have the traditional crippler crossface in at first, and then he grabs that piece of the chair, and then he was like yanking back on Reigns' jaw with that piece, and I'm like, is this how Roman's going to tap right here?
And then Bryan comes in and he puts the yes lock at the same time as Edge's crossface. And I got scared a little. I was like, no, don't do this finish. Please don't do this finish. Not at WrestleMania.
And those two guys were screaming at each other to let go. And then like Edge was like, let go. Daniel Bryan's like, no, you let go. Like,
then they start butting heads.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan and Edge had a lot of really awesome sequences in this match. You want to talk about another dream one-on-one match right there. I mean, Daniel Bryan was locking in the yes lock on both guys. Let's see, dual submissions. Unhinged Edge is fantastic, might I add. Like, you know, he was going for those concertos. He was nailing both guys. Daniel Bryan, to your point, yeah, Daniel Bryan did a couple of things that were, like, not smart in this match, like 2 diving headbutts in a row.
My favorite spot from Bryan, though, is that we've all kind of seen, like, this edgier side of him the past few weeks, and we all know that Bryan's finishing move in the Indies and Ring of Honor was cattle mutilation, where he takes both of your arms and he just stomps a mud hole into your face. And Bryan, who suffered from concussions and neck problems himself, grabbed Edge's arms and he looks at him and he says, "Oh, you got a bad neck, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh, Bryan, that's low. That's
cruel.
Dirty. That is very cruel."
You know, doing whatever it takes, man. And then Edge returns the favor by actually hitting Daniel Bryan with a concerto.
Which I was surprised that Bryan took.
Oh, man, that was a sentence I never thought I'd say in my life. Daniel Bryan taking a concerto. But there it is. And what was the finish of this match? I didn't write that down.
Edge, okay, I will say I didn't mind it at first, but reflecting back on it, it kind of bugged me. Edge goes for the chair and he goes to concerto. Edge, Jey Uso is back again. And that's when I started getting on. I'm like, okay, this is the main event of WrestleMania. If this was the main event of any other pay-per-view, it'd be fine. But I feel like this match needed a clean finish. And Edge takes out Jey. And then Reigns hits Edge with a spear. And then Reigns hits the concerto on Edge. But the pin was really cool. He stacks them up like cardboard. He stacks Edge on top of Bryan. And Reigns wins. Yep. Reigns retains.
Surprisingly. Yeah. I thought, you know, Reigns was probably going to lose this match, you know, by not being pinned and lose his title, but they proved me wrong. Man. Banger of a triple threat match, regardless, though. This is a 4.5 star clinic from me. Great storytelling from everybody. I mean, every player did their part, you know?
You know what?
Awesome.
I was going to give it 4.25, but I realized I can't be petty just because I didn't really like the finish. So I am going to give it 4.5 stars. And I still can't decide if I like this more than Cesaro Rollins.
Yeah, I liked it more than Cesaro Rollins because they got a lot of time to tell a kick-ass story, and that's exactly what they did.
So the last two things going out of Mania for me were, number one, if Reigns didn't drop the title here, then when? Then when?
I don't know, man.
At this point, I don't know who. And I guess, you know what, it's okay to be a mark sometimes. And the mark in me was like, WWE, this is your last chance. Does Brock Lesnar come out? And he didn't. And I was like, okay.
Could you imagine?
I was in the back of my mind. The back of my mind, I was like, does Lesnar come out and just whoop Reigns' ass to send the fans home happy?
Could you also imagine how pissed off Bobby Lashley would have been if that was actually how Mania went off the air? Because, you know, he's been begging for a match with Brock, and then if he comes out and attacks Roman, that's obviously the trajectory. So, like,
yeah. I guess I was just thinking, you know, like, wow, WWE is really going to send the fans home with the heel winning.
Yep.
Bold.
They gave Roman Reigns his Mania coronation that they've took 5 Mania main events to get to. And, you know, it finally worked. It got behind it. But WrestleMania 37, I'm not going to sit here and say this was the greatest or even the most eventful WrestleMania of all time. Definitely solid. I really, really dug the fact that it was 2 nights. They should do that every year. I do think it was an important WrestleMania, though, because, number one, you got fans back, finally. And also, you have proven, WWE, that you can put on an effective WrestleMania without having to rely on all the part-timers, like your Brock Lesnar, like your Goldberg, like your, like, hell, I'll even say it, like your Rock, even. Like, it's... You've proven it. Like, the only quote-unquote part-timer that wrestled on this show was this guy. And even he's been, you know, showing up week after week. Like, even before Mania. Like, you know, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Fastlane. He was there. So
and he's not going anywhere. He's back for good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The WrestleMania itself, I'll give it 8.5. But considering it was the first show back, I'm going to throw it a bone, give it an extra 0.5 altogether, 9 out of 10. Just like standard.
Wow. There you go. That's bold. I'm going, I think there was, I'll bump it up to an 8. I was going to go 7.5 because I was like, this isn't really the most eventful Mania. There were a couple of questionable booking decisions on this show, like with
for sure. And to attest to the uneventful, I think WWE was just really focusing on the fact that the fans were back.
Yeah. And both of your heel world champions went over with fans back, so
that was a bold decision.
Yeah.
And I give props to WWE for that.
There you go. Roman Reigns is just gonna hold the title like Walter is, so like for 2 years.
Bring it.
There you go. I acknowledge him as my tribal chief. But yeah, I think it just about wraps it up for WrestleMania, guys. This was a long one. I really appreciate you guys sticking in there with us. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, if you haven't already. Thumbs up on your way out also would be delicious. Stay tuned also because we got our retro. We're still going to continue our retros. Peacock is uploading more and more retro shows. We're going to finish off the year 2002 and by the looks of things, we're going to get into 2003 also. You guys have been enjoying those. And of course, you got your usual Double or Nothing, and apparently it's not Money in the Bank next month. It's WrestleMania Backlash. Yay! Another tagline for your pay-per-views in the Thunderdome. Oh, yeah, that's annoying, but yeah, thank you again.
Business, ladies and gentlemen.
We are. Can't freaking wait, and I hope you join us along for the ride. But with all that being said, guys, Back Talk commence.